been saying come down, check it out, and I'm not even that far. Well, today it seemed like forever with that Atlanta traffic,
Yeah.
but I'm not that far.
Man,
so
we got a helicopter, man. We could have flew here if we knew the traffic was gonna be like that.
What I was just looking at, yeah, and I went the back way. How about that? It's a long time coming. And thank you guys as well. And I apologize in advance if I say anything that upsets you. I mean it. But there's a little hand that kind of goes in between them. But compromising is a maturity level, right? That's because you recognize that, okay, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about the team, right? And the team moving forward. That's what I always talk about. You know, you'll see a question there and talk about conflict resolution. And step one is a 7-step process, but step one is recognize that we're on the same team, right? So sometimes there's a give. There's grace that I have to give, right? You had a bad day, right? So I want to have this conversation, but I'm gonna compromise with you right now. You can't talk. Let's come back tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
Two, one.
What's going on, fam? What's up, peoples? Hey, y'all know, man, what it is. It's Tuesday evening. And we know what we do on Tuesday evening. We come out here, we gonna spread some knowledge, man. Hey, Miss Sonia, I called you 3 times mentally. Yeah, so did you catch it?
Not mentally.
Yes. But yes, travel nurses, y'all need to be jumping on this. And before I get into that though, man, how y'all doing? Happy another Black History Month. You know, so we had one last month, we got one this month, we got one next month. Actually, we have one for 12 months, man. If we treat Black history, I was looking at some stuff, it's so crazy. You know, I was looking at some stuff and how like the NBA got the Black History Month shirts, and like Netflix had like the Black collection for just that 1 month. Like, why we don't do that all year? Like, why people don't want to see Black movies all year? Why? You know, NBA, NFL, none of them don't acknowledge that all year. Just like we should be doing.
What?
You know, but we cry about that 1 month that we get, but we accept it. You know, we accept it. We play into the hand because after Black History Month, we ain't really doing much of nothing after that. You know, to promote it the same way we do in Black history. You know, so again, we can change the dynamics of our own culture and everything that we're trying to do based on being intentional. Being intentional, man. It could be Black History Month every month. We go out and support Black-owned businesses during February. Why? What's wrong with them same businesses in March? I'm just asking. So somebody might have the answer for me. So what's going on, people? Welcome to My Solution S.H.Y.T podcast. You know, because we about solutions, man. So we on our solution shit. We ain't on no problems. You know, and that S.H.Y.T, success and happiness yields thriving. Listen again, shit. S.H.Y.T. I sound like a little kid who mama didn't let them curse, and I finally get a chance to start cussing and like shit. You know, S.H.Y.T. Success and success, happiness yields thriving. And the thing about it is that we have gotten so comfortable. And the reason why, again, I'm gonna go back to the beginning. One of the reasons why I wanted to get back on air. And anybody know I've been doing the radio show with Survivor Radio Network, my first show from the basement to the boardroom. You know, we pretty much had everybody on there. But I wanted to get back, man, and I wanted to talk solutions. You know, one of the reasons why when I bought the building, the first thing I said, I'm gonna name it the RB Solution Center, because we want to have something that's going to create solutions. So when I did the show again, it's basically on my solution shit, because solutions, we all know what the problems are, but we don't focus on the solutions. And what I started seeing was so many people just were in bad positions, you know, financially, mentally, socially, spiritually. Like, bro, we need solutions. So the whole goal was to create a platform where I can give solutions based on what I'm an expert on: business, taxes, mindset development. and then bring people on that I can give a platform that can actually help show and elevate you on the things that I don't know. So that's why I'm excited, man. I'm excited to have my financial advisor here tonight, man. Like, you know, where my money go, where my money at, where my money at. And so y'all need to have financial advisors. You need to have tax professionals. You need to have bankers with relationships. You need to have attorneys. Not just when you get in a car accident, not when you need bail. You need an attorney. No, some people have attorneys, but yeah, some people have attorneys basically, or call attorneys when they got to get bailed out. I ain't saying that's none of y'all, because I know none of my people who be on these lives, they don't go to jail often. So again, man, we got to understand, you got to have those circles of influence, you know, and those people are the people you need to really keep you, you know, financially and legally straight, you know, and so it's very important. So that's why I wanted to create the show, again, to bring solutions. So again, if y'all have any questions regarding anything with taxes, anything with finances, you know, we're going to have my girl in here, Rhonda J., my advisor. She handles my money. You know, I know I be hurting her back a lot of times because she be trying to manage all those 7 figures, 8 figures and stuff. And I be putting too much pressure on her, but that's okay. You know, I'm getting her in the gym to lift because I'm planning on bringing more bags from my bank. What? That's admirable of me to get her some help, right? If I'm going to bring more money to her, get her some help to be able to manage it better. I think that's admirable. All right, so tonight, man, the reason why I talked about if y'all know any travel nurses, and every time I do the show, I kind of give you some real life experiences based on individuals that I deal with, questions that I get repeatedly, and this is no, you know, I'll never put nobody's name out there, maybe situations, but one of the things I wanted to talk about on the tax side is just making sure that y'all are aware of the changes, making sure that you're aware, like I said, as a traveling nurse, because we're going to get into that, but we also going to get into some tax stuff as well. You know, we talked about the taxes for filing statuses last week. We always talk business taxes. I'm going to talk some things about personal taxes, because somebody was like, why you don't never talk about people who don't have a business? Because nobody is without a business no more. That's why. Other than Michelle. You have your business yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm working on it.
It's Black History Month.
Every day is Black History Month. Every month.
You're supposed to be on that.
I'm on it.
Martin Luther King is around here partying.
One thing at a time.
He is around here partying, and y'all basically killing his vibe. Black folks, let's not kill Martin Luther King vibe. He having a great time, but when he hear about these things, we not investing, we not doing these things, that kill his vibe. And we definitely don't want to kill his vibe, because we know how Martin turned up. And he got Malcolm X with it too. He got the old Malcolm X, Red. You saw the movie Malcolm X, Red, with him and Spike Lee in the beginning? Yeah, that's the Malcolm X that they turned it up. With what? With James Brown up there? Ooh, oh yeah, it's something serious up there. So again, man, make sure that y'all get on this. Now, a lot of times, you know, I talk to y'all about, like, we talked about double standards one time, and not double standards, but just not being realistic when we was talking about dating and finding people. And I always say it's so crazy with Black folks, though, it'd be hard to win with us sometimes. Because, and I say this, but think about this, with validation, we always talk about affirmations. Like, we got to have affirmations. We got to have affirmation. So if I'm doing it in an affirmation form and I say, I am worthy, I am the best, I am great, I am all these things, I am a king, I am a queen. People praise you for that. People tell you to do that. But what we're scared to do is affirm ourselves when we're in our business. Because people call that as being arrogant, being cocky, bragging on yourself. Is that not affirmations? If I say that I'm the best in my business. I'm the best in my industry. What's the difference with that? If you're saying, I know I'm good, if you're saying, I know I'm good, what's wrong with saying that? And we get so scared to we're going to alienate people and we're going to ruffle feathers when we brag on ourselves, when we uplift ourselves. Let me tell you something. Nobody wants to do business with somebody that ain't that good. That don't think that they're that good. So we got to understand, man, it's okay to lift yourself up because it's no different with affirmations. When you're saying, I am worthy, I am good, I'm a king, I'm a queen. Am I bragging on myself if I say I'm a king? Are you bragging on yourself if you say you're a queen? No, because that's something that you believe. But if I say it from a business or financial standpoint, I'm a money magnet, all that. What's the difference? So stop hating on people and celebrate that when people feel that way about themselves. And you need to do it more. Because the one thing about it, people who put themselves in beneficial positions, successful positions, they really don't want to do business with people who basically don't feel like they're worthy. So you don't want to say that you're great at what you do. You're the best at what you do because you don't want to alienate nobody. You don't want nobody to think that you're bragging. You better damn brag because what we always talk about, there's so many haters out here. So if you got so many like for LeBron to say that he's the GOAT, everybody talk about it and say, well, you don't tell yourself that. You let somebody else tell you that. You let somebody else. But we praise Muhammad Ali for saying he was the GOAT and he's the greatest in the world. So why? What's the difference? We love him for that. We love Prime Time when he was playing for having that type of attitude. All you have to do is show up. If you show up to what you say, you ain't have to worry about that. I'll tell you in a minute. I'm one of the best in this tax industry. It ain't too many people in this industry that's better than me. And I'll say that. I'll stand on business. And I challenge people on it. I'll challenge you all, everybody that's not my professional, not my client right now. I challenge you, if you don't think you're getting the best work, or even if you think you are, I tell you, I'll review your return for free and I probably can give you something that you hadn't gotten. I'm that strong in it. So you think people who of value don't want to be associated with somebody like that? That's going to be confident that they're going to help you to the fullest. They know all of the laws. And I ain't going to say all the laws because somebody's going to come out with some bullshit that I ain't never seen that's not relevant. All the stuff that's relevant to all the people I take care of. But that matters, man. Affirm yourself and be okay. All I say is deliver. If you're going to say you're the best, be the best. If you say you're a king or a queen, act like a king or a queen. That matters. That matters. Hey, Amanda. So again, man, if y'all have tax questions, concerns, business questions, any of that, definitely make sure that you list it, you list them in the chat. I'll look at them. But we're going to talk to, like I said, because some of the experiences that we've had with the travel nurses and the business owners who have homes but do not have a business. So I want to give y'all some of those deductions as well. So we're going to touch on a little bit of all of that. All right. So I don't know if y'all following John Hope, but John Hope said 1/2 of Black folks have credit scores. This 50% people, when I say half of Black folks in the country have a below a 620 credit score. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this to talk about you. I'm going to talk about why he was just saying this is a problem. This is why we have to be intentional. See, we're intentional about being able to decorate some shit when we got something coming up and having all this creativity and all these different things that we do. But we're not intentional about our finances, but we're still talking about legacies. We're still talking about generational wealth. It's going to be hard to build a legacy in generational wealth with a 580 credit score. And again, I ain't talking about people that have a 580 credit score, but what he was saying was with half of Black America having a credit score below 620, we have no buying power. We have no bargaining power. So we're in financial bondage. We don't have the ability to go out and make a lot of things happen to get to those next levels because we don't have the ability to have that power. Because see, when we buy homes, if we qualify with subpar credit scores, we're going to get hit with a higher interest rate. And so now we're wondering why we're struggling in our house. We thought we could afford it, but if we're paying way more interest than we need to on top of the note that we thought we could afford, it's going to be harder to afford that house. And it's going to create a struggle, which now we're in financial bondage. Because see, I can't now put money away to go let my money make money. If I got a terrible credit score, I'm not going to be able to go get loans and lines of credit, which basically that's what rich and successful people do. They play with other people's money. This is how you win. So the whole goal is to get in a position, to go get other people money and get it at a favorable rate. You know, they call it cheap money. Like when you hear people say right now, money cheap. And basically what money cheap means that they're lending money at a very low interest rate. But you can't play this game if you don't start focusing on building your credit. With half of Black America, you know how far behind we are? Because see, we don't have the other resources like other communities have. And so we can't go and pay cash for a lot of things. So we need credit scores to go ahead and get a house, to not have a high interest loan automobile, to be able to go get a business credit card, business line of credit. And I'm gonna tell you, look, something Drake did too. We got to be smart. And I'm gonna talk to. All right, let me write this down so I can remember. And I'm gonna talk to Rhonda about this, man. Like when we get our financial expert on. And did y'all hear the move Drake made? Gangster. They was talking about Drake house. Drake bought the $75 million mansion And what he did was he pulled out. He did a equity line against it or something like that. And what he did was he pulled 75 out. He took 75,000 out of the house. 75 million out of the house. He got that money at 3%. He took the 75 million. Now, on the money he borrowed, he's going to have to pay $22 million over 30 years interest on that money. And everybody like, oh my God, 22 million. But he took the money that he got at a 3% rate, put it into an investment account for 8%. Over 30 years, that same 75 million is going to make him $525 million in 30 years. That's a gangster move.
Man.
You know, and so that's what having access and knowledge can do for you. You know, so he's going to basically, and that's basically what the banks do with your money. When you put your money in the bank, what the bank does is they'll take your money, they'll say you put it in the savings, they'll give you 0.13% or 0.3%. And even if you said they're going to give you 2%, let's say you get 2%. They take your money and lend your money to businesses and charge them anywhere from maybe 7 to 12% and never had to come out of pocket. Never had to come out of pocket. But we can't get access to that money if we don't focus on our financials, if we don't focus on our credit. So let's change that game. Like, all right, look, we have, all right, it's February the 6th. Last year, well, maybe not last year, maybe the year before last, when I was doing the lives, y'all know I challenged y'all to say what we wanted to do was have at least 700 credit scores, $1,000 in savings. We still want to go for that. We want to have, we're in the second month, people. Let's have a goal to have $1,000 in savings by the end of June. That'll be halfway through the year. Let's make an effort to have $1,000 in our savings by the end of June. And let's make an effort. Now your credit score can go up, but it may not go up that fast by June, but by the end of the year, let's have a 700 credit score. I even say this, let's have I don't know where your credit score is, because I didn't even know credit scores could get in the 400s, but they can. I don't care where you are, let's make an effort to start learning, being diligent about moving our credit at least 150%. And not a percent, but 150 points. So wherever you are, it don't matter. If you're at 450, you're going to be by 600 by the end of the year, if not sooner. If you're at 600, you're at 750. 750, you got leverage. 700, you almost have leverage. That matters, man. That matters tremendously. I have buying power. I have access. I have leverage. Because all you're telling me is I don't buy this because I don't have enough money. I wanted to get this equipment, but I can't afford it right now. But that equipment going to take my business to the next level. If that's the case, you need to be getting in a position to get a line of credit, loans, a business credit card. And let's change that, man. Let's change that. From John Hope saying half of Black America only, basically credit scores below 620 points. That's crazy. We got to change that. So let's do that. Let's work on it. If you're not sure what to do, who to talk to, reach out to me. I'll give you my resources and we can do this together. Like we can work together. Stop trying to do everything yourself and getting nothing done. What's up, Soko? All right. Whew. In order, people, to do those things, we got to do something different. And the one thing is a mindset shift. And when I say mindset shift, one of the mindset shifts we have to understand is surviving is not the new win. Surviving is not the new win. Like, you're not winning because you're surviving. There's no honor in continuously surviving forever. At some point, hey, Ms. Rhonda, at some point, you got to get tired of surviving, man, and we got to start focusing on striving. Like, now we've taken surviving as a badge of honor. I'm surviving. Like, how long are you planning on surviving?
I don't want to just survive no more.
We got to focus on striving. That's not the new win. And that's the issue that I have with it, is that we are getting comfortable with it. And I'm not saying people, you're going to have your periods where you're going to struggle, and hopefully you go from struggle to surviving, and then surviving to striving. But what we're doing is we're stopping at striving, at surviving, and thinking that's the new norm, as long as I'm getting stuff paid. How long do you want to do that? So we got to think differently. And the beautiful thing about it is everybody say, this is my year. This is my year. Let's see it. I hear that every year. I still haven't had one person reach out to me and say, well, Brian, this is what I want to do this year. I'm lying. I ain't going to say I have one. Michelle reached out.
Exactly.
So I ain't going to say one person. I ain't going to say, I'll say not two people reached out this year. But we have to be intentional about this, man. If not, it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be ugly. And you got to jump into this, because see, failure shows us the way to how not to do something next time. And so don't be scared to fail. If it don't work out, whatever you're doing, if your credit score don't jump in the next 6 months, or you meet somebody who didn't come through for you, do you think quitting gonna solve that problem? No. Man, we got to keep on pushing. We got to keep on pushing. We got to be diligent about this. And these are things that, and the crazy part about it is, it's nothing that I'm telling you that ain't happened a million times before. It ain't nothing that I'm telling you that, you got, man, so many people before me have done it. So anybody that's in that position, there's people that already did it. Let's get on it, man. We early in the year, we got resources. So at this point, there's no excuse. It's no excuse. And the reason why we need time, because it don't manifest overnight. I was reading something on one of the billionaires, and what he said was, most don't become rich because they waste the most important thing. And what is that? Yeah, it's time. Yeah, because they waste the most important thing. And what he was really talking about that is that we think we have time. We think we have time. And he had been doing his business for 61 years. And what he was saying, and we talk about this all the time, and I think it's so cliche-ish, where people always say, oh, time is your greatest asset. People just say that because it sounds good. But putting in time, being successful over time, all that matters. So when you start talking about time, so when you factor all that, it takes time, putting in time, staying successful over time, it all comes back to time. And what happens is, he was saying that we waste too much time thinking that we got time to get stuff done. And a lot of y'all, most of y'all that listen to this, most of y'all are way older than me. And so, what? I'm just saying, like, people hate the truth, man. People hate the truth. People hate the truth. But what happens is people tell you, well, I heard something the other day said, well, you got 55, most millionaires don't become millionaires now till you're 57. Average age, the average age of millionaires are 57. But let me tell you something, people. They don't start at 57. They don't start at 55. They start in their 20s and 30s. So understanding it takes time. We can't afford to waste time saying, I'm going to put this on the back burner. I'm going to do this in 3 years. I'm going to do this. No. You don't reach those levels by putting things on the back burner. It don't happen like that. All right, so I want to make a couple of announcements with some upcoming events, man. Make sure y'all mark y'all calendar. I'll get into a few more things, then I'll get into the tax tips a little bit. But just make sure, if y'all haven't registered for Atlanta Black Expo. Atlanta Black Expo, February the 10th. Man, if y'all been before, y'all already know. Man, my guy Corey Moore, the network king, always doing something great. And I don't know what the excuses are why this thing is not overflowing. Now, don't get me wrong, he got over 100 vendors. He's going to have hundreds of attendees, but it should be sold out. I know we like to wait until the last minute, to see. We got to see. We got to see. See your bank account that you've been crying about all this time. That you've been crying about. And I ain't talking about if you good, then I'm okay. But if you've been saying, I need to do something different, I need to meet people, I need to network, I need to make more money, I need more clients. Give me your reason why you wouldn't come to this event. That's the ticket's maybe $30 to attend, to meet hundreds of business owners and hundreds of attendees.
We can get $5 off.
And then not only that, if you use my code TAX, TAX, you get a $5 discount. Not only that, I beg people to allow me to pay for them to go. I put it out there like, I'll pay for you. I asked for 25 people. Why I can't get 25 people to help enhance their lives, to be in an environment where you can meet people that can change things? Help me understand. I know I went to public school. I didn't do the short bus. I did public bus because that's why maybe if we'd have had buses, maybe, I don't know, but that's another conversation. We'll never know, right? I wasn't in the little class downstairs, though. And so if y'all went to Joe's West Clark Preparatory Academy Fundamental, then y'all would know what them classes downstairs meant. Where you was 17 taking naps. So, oh, y'all was in them classes?
No.
That's okay.
Okay, because some of them
well rested.
grow up and be
You
geniuses.
should be well rested. No, I take naps every day.
Mm.
Yep, RTA, baby. Let my bus tickets expire. All right. Now, we also have coming up September 17th, people.
September.
Well, I said September.
He's trying to get on the beach so quick.
February 17th, man. Go to rbsolutioncenter.com. You can see all of this on there. But we have adult game night. And this is not game night in the sense that y'all thinking of like we ain't gonna be playing Monopoly and Uno. It's gonna be like a strip thing. No. That's not this week, right? That's the next week. That's really the real adult one. That's not this one. But on adult game night, shout out to my man Elam B. King, the relationship coach. And mainly because it's Valentine's Day, we wanted to put something kind of a singles thing together, Valentine. So we wanted to invite the relationship coach out to see to see if we can kind of connect some people, man. So his game is Are You Ready Yet? And it's a game that's asking like, man, know what? Know what? We're trying to find out if you're ready to be married, if you're ready to be hooked up. But we're going to actually have some fun. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to try to connect. We're going to answer some of y'all questions. We're going to do all of those things, you know, in the heart of Valentine's. So you might find your Valentine. I've been known to be a Cupid. Like every event I had, I didn't hook somebody up. Now they might have hooked up for a night or a week or a month or a year or forever. I got two people. I got some people that didn't got married, and I got some that didn't got pregnant.
Oh.
So just be mindful. I'm just saying, just be mindful. Then on the 18th, which is the day after the 17th, for my people who did ride the little bus and was at the class downstairs. So this is February 18th at the RB Solution Center. We have our monthly when Black Authors Connect. So if you're an author in Atlanta or you know an author, please, like this is a phenomenal event, man. Go to our website. You can find all of the information. And then right after that event, we're going to be doing B1 the movie. So if y'all know my man, Rick Mathis, and you know, I had Rick on the show the last time, but we got Rick Mathis on the 18th doing B1 the movie. And that's going to be great, man, because if y'all familiar with Rick, y'all know it's all about empowerment. And he have all of the heavy hitters in there, from Killer Mike, you know, to David Banner, to Dr. Frazier, Dr. Boyce Watkins. And it's talking about finance and the Black community. So we're going to do a viewing of the movie, a discussion. We're going to have eats, adult drinks, you know, and it's going to do everything that we need to connect. It's a beautiful thing, man. Are you trying to get me in? Court. Oh, nah, man. Hey. And then with the Black Authors Connect, though, we going to have spoken word that night. There's going to be poetry and movie night. So we going all in, man. So you have no excuse. And then on February 21st, after y'all got y'all dates, y'all can come to Wealth Wednesday. You know, with my man Kareem Ali. Let me tell you, when you talk about entrepreneur, Cat, he's always in something, man. Positive energy. You know, you can go on the site from 6 to 8, Wednesday the 21st. It's a beautiful thing. Also, Thursday, I don't have a flyer. It's not at the RB Solution Center, but at Monticello's, my real estate agents, the monthly real estate mixer and mingle, free food, free drinks. It's always great for my real estate folks. And that's the 15th, right? That's the
next Thursday.
Yeah, so that's on the 15th. So again, man, it's so many things. So you really have no excuse, none at all. Hey, Lauren, how was the gala? I ain't never been to a ghetto gala. I wanted to see that. But all right, so, but man, y'all have no excuse. We have something every month, almost every week. So you have no excuse not to connect. All right, people, understand, in order to be successful, it's certain things you have to do. In order to be successful for a long time, it's more things you have to do. And the thing about it is not that hard. So somebody had asked me about like being in business. And, you know, because I've been talking about being in business 27 years. And I've also took it one step further and said, I've been in business 27 years and never had a losing season. So we can get rid of that myth of the first 3 years you're going to show a loss. Man, who told y'all that? That ain't in the Bible nowhere. So you don't have to believe none of that. And it might be in the Bible. Is it in the Bible? Oh, okay. Because I know there's a lot of business principles in the Bible, but I don't know if they said anything about the first 3 years. You know, you got to show a loss. That's something that we made up. Ain't no rule says, you know how many people get in business their first year and kill it? Now, it's normal for most people to get in their first 3 years, and I would say even their first year, definitely, and maybe lose out. But it's no reason that you should have multiple years and still losing if your goal is to make a profit. And so when I talk about this, being in business, I'm gonna tell you some things that I did basically to get to 27 years. One, be frugal. Be frugal. Like we think wasting money is a badge of honor until we don't have no more. And this is something I didn't know I was until somebody brought it. Well, a couple people had brought it to my attention. But I thought it was a bad word at first until I researched it and realized all it means is that you're money wise and you're money conscious. And I am. And I think I've always been mindful of that. I'm mindful of that when I'm at somebody else's place. I'm like, why? Why are you grabbing 10 napkins? You do not need 10 napkins. Like three napkins would have did the trick, but because you ain't paying for it.
Yep.
And I think about that when I'm at the other. I'm like, why? I think about paper waste, all of that. Like, why you waste? That's like with me. We have shredded paper that can be cut up into scratch paper. We don't need no Post-it notes. You know, they'll tell you, they be like, well, I need to get some Post-it notes. Post-it notes for what? They're gonna fall off. You take the scrap paper with a paper clip and you use that. You could take and what happens is what we don't realize is we think that's little things. Little things add up over time, over years. And see, but then not only that, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. That's the thing. It's not just you saving 40 cents here, 40 cents there. And let me tell you something. People didn't realize that. Me and my dad was talking last night, and he was saying, what is that he buy from, he said he buys something from Walmart, and he saw the difference in the prices. And I said, well, I know it too. I said, because the little pies they used to have up front used to be 50 cents at Walmart. And now they're 84 cents. Not that I buy them, y'all. That's, you know, I'm just saying. I noticed the sign. That's only 24 cents. But 24 cents times 100 million people over time is a lot of money. So even when you're talking about Walmarts across the country, how many people come in there? 24 cents times thousands of people a day across the country is a lot. And that's how you have to think about it. So it's a mindset. So when you start thinking frugal, don't think of it being cheap. Be it cost effective. That's what that means. So if I'm going to Costco's, buying supplies anyway. Why not bring my coupons? Why not get $6 off if I can? We have to think in that capacity all the time. How can I save money? It matters when you start talking about for the long haul. And it ain't like you got to deprive yourself. And you don't have to deprive yourself, but you got to always think of ways to save. I fly first class. When I fly a lot, not all the time, but sometimes on them planes, I have the layout seats. I go to hotels, I have balcony views, ocean views, but I guarantee you, I'm always trying to see how I can get those same rooms at the least costly way. Rent-a-cars, it does not matter. I'm always trying to find out how can I don't care if it like the room itself, what's the lowest way I can get? What can I do? What website can I go on to apply something to get that same room cheaper? So you think people are gonna say, oh well, it's a nice room, but you paid half price for it, so it don't mean nothing. Okay. Okay. You got to understand, man, if you want to be around for the long haul, you have to basically think from a cost effective way. You've got to think from a cost effective way. The biggest thing that I like is save taxes. People understand, if you want to be in the business for a long time, understand taxes. Understand how I can save. Because if somebody's taking 40 to 50% of your money, it's going to be hard for you to stay in business long. Or are you going to consistently be hustling to try to make up for the 50% you don't have? And you know how taxing that is over time? That makes you want to quit. You know what most people say, and some of y'all said it, shit, I might as well just go back to work. Some of y'all said, I might as well just go back to work because they killing me. And so we got to understand, even from this standpoint, this is something I learned early on. If I learn to keep more of my money, I can do more things. So that way, if you're giving the government 50% of your money, and I'm only giving them 10 to 15%, that means I got 30 to 35% extra money that I can invest in travel with. But if I'm giving them 40 to 50%, I have to work twice as hard to make up for that 50% that they're taking. And the problem with that is we only have so much time in a day. This is why we're frustrated. This is why we're burnt out. Because we're trying to do twice the work. And then don't add on top of that, most people have bad money management skills. So I'm working with half of the money with bad money management skills. I'll give y'all 10 minutes to add that equation up and see how it ever come out to your benefit. It won't. You got to understand, man, if you don't learn this tax game, find somebody you can work with that understand taxes. Tax strategists, tax professionals, and not just tax preparers. That matters. Another way to stay in business for a long time, collaborate. Collaborate. If anybody been knowing me for the last 20 something years, I didn't just start talking about collaboration beats competition. I've always worked with people. I've always understood what I was weak at. And I've always understood what I didn't want to do. So I need to find somebody because it still got to get done. But what happens is when you don't collaborate and you're trying to do everything yourself, this is where that burnout come in. This is why people can't last 20 years because they burnt out. You're trying to do everything. Yes, you have a master's degree in psychology. But you don't know nothing about no websites. So again, barter, whatever you have to do. Most of the time, we don't even talk to people and ask. We already say, well, I know they ain't going, but they hide it. If you talk to people sometime, you'll be surprised what people be willing to do. If you say, well, no, I really need a website, but I really don't have all the money right now. What can we work out? They might have strategies. They might have whatever to help you get that. We don't even ask. Collaboration is key, man. It takes so much pressure off of you. The next thing, hire somebody, man. Get some help. Get some help. And understand a lot of times in the beginning, we don't have the money or the resources to get some help. This goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. This is why I tell you, if you put yourself in certain positions, all of those things will take care of itself. So if you keep telling me, if I just had some help, man, my business will go to the next level. Why are you not basically taking every single minute of every single day trying to find out how you can get in a position to get help then? Because if help is the thing that's going to push you to where you're going to manifest your goals, you need to be working on how I can get help. And know what? We don't even think about it when we talked about in the beginning, having great credit. Know what great credit does again? It gives you leverage. Because what it does is when I go to the bank, I say, I want to get a line of credit for $25,000, $30,000. They'll say, okay, oh, well, you have A1 credit. Well, yes, you definitely qualify. Know what I do with that 25, 30,000? I get help. And now my business goes to that next level because that's the help I said I needed, because I had to subtract me from the business to go get business. Even if they gave me a business credit card with 20,000 on it, that's just money that's sitting in the account. You can go and get money now off of that card to get what? Help that you say you needed to get to the next level. So this is how all that stuff trickles down. So you can't get to 20-something years, man. Well, I ain't gonna say you can't, but it's gonna be much harder. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna be a mom and pop, being the face of the business, and it's gonna be hard for you to grow because any event you go to, you're gonna be behind the table. You ain't gonna be able to go out and meet new people. So it actually, when John Hope mentioned financial bondage, that's what it's going to have you in, financial bondage. You won't be able to do anything. The next thing is have multiple streams of income. Have multiple streams of income. And let me work this out for some of y'all, because some of y'all going to say, Brian said I should have had 11 businesses. No, Brian didn't. Don't be lying on me. I didn't say you need to have 4 businesses. I said you need to have multiple streams. That don't necessarily mean 4 businesses, because when somebody tell me, for the most part, that they have 5 businesses, I'm probably not even taking you serious until I really find out, because I already know the majority of people who have multiple businesses, you don't have 5 streams of income. You have 1 stream of income that's financing 4 businesses. That's the majority. That's the consensus. And I say that because I can stand on business. I've been in this thing over 30 years, and I haven't seen too many people. Yeah, I haven't seen too many people that actually have multiple striving businesses. And it can be done, but what you have to understand is when you start talking about multiple businesses, you can't have 5 businesses and give each of them 20%. It'll never manifest. You can't give nothing 20% and expect it to really grow. So when we talk about having multiple streams, you have to be able to take that one thing you do and let it create branches. So when people talk about me, even early on, about, well, you got all this going on, you know what? I had a book. It's about business and taxes. That was the extension of what I mastered already in taxes. That was the extension of that. So then I started speaking. That was another extension. Then I started doing business development, but it was still within the wheelhouse of everything that I was doing. So when I created the RB Solution Center for entrepreneurs, because I have a tax business that specializes in entrepreneurs, it's still within the wheelhouse of what I'm doing. So what I'm doing, I'm not starting a whole new thing. I'm not going in a whole new direction. That's branches. So when we start talking about elevating your business and creating multiple streams, and I'm not saying you can't have two different businesses that can be successful. But when you start having 4 and 5 businesses and you don't have no team, somebody explain to me. I'll give you a little time. Explain to me how you have 4 businesses and you don't have no team. You're a hell of a person. You got a book, a story, a testimony in you. Call Oprah. And if you just say that, just say, She's an author now. But you know what I said? I said she's a financial advisor. I said she's an author. You're like, that's two different. You know what her book is on? Financial stuff. On financial stuff. She ain't write a book on how to have the best lawn service. Because she have a beautiful lawn. You know, so man, that matters though. We have to understand that. So when we listen to people that have multiple streams, most people don't have multiple streams. Most people have multiple businesses with one stream. And if I'm wrong for somebody, I accept that. I own that. Another way you stay in business for 20 years, you got to understand, you got to take care of your body. You got to work out and play. You got to work out and play, because a lot of times your burnout, when you start talking about 20 years, that means you're getting older. And as you get older, your body don't function the same. Now, I know I'm an exception, and I know everybody wonder how and why, but that's another show. I'll have some fitness people on and we'll talk about that. But again, you have to take care of your body when you start talking about, you know, longevity. Because what happens is most people have one-man operations. And you know what happens when that one man is down? There's no operations. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. People don't give a damn about your excuses. Because when I need something done, if I need flyers, if you're my printing company and I need flyers, I got an event, I'm not going to understand totally that you couldn't do them today because your car was acting funny or whatever. Like when I'm trying to get people stuff to grow my business, I can't take all your excuses. Even with children, like people will say, well, man, you know how it is. I had to leave early to go get my child from daycare, or I couldn't do that. Let me tell you something. People don't care. They don't care if you're sick. So when you basically, you're not working out, that matters. Because over time, you're going to have long nights, early mornings. You got to understand delegation. You got to delegate. You got to delegate. The one thing that I keep telling y'all that is so, so important on every level, trying to get there, getting there, and moving forward. If you want to consistently get to 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, you got to read daily. You got to read motivational, inspirational stuff. And if not daily, you can't let a day go by, because what happens is this start programming your mind to positivity, to winning, to success, how to build. I don't go one single day without listening to something motivational, inspirational. Not one single day. If I got to put it on, it just makes me feel better. Even if I put my headphones on for 3 minutes, and just listen to part of my audiobook or something, I'm going to feel a little bit better. You know how you feel when you basically don't go to the gym, you feel bad. But if you go and you do a little something, you feel like, all right, you know what? I did do something. Now, I'm not even counting if the 4 minutes helped. We ain't talking about that. But you feel better that you did do something. I do it at 4 a.m. Man, who getting up at 4 a.m.? I get up at 4 a.m. I get up at 4 a.m. to go pee and go to the airport. That's probably the only 2 times I'm up at 4 a.m. Like, dang, I just be going to bed close to 4. More power to you. More power to you. I have to shut my body down at 1:30. Like, man, go to bed. Go to bed. All right, to get to 20 years, you got to understand obstacles are the way. People, you're gonna have obstacles. You're gonna have plenty of obstacles. Plenty. But what you have to do is look at every obstacle as a lesson. Learning is the greatest way to get ahead. Learning, learning, learning. And obstacles, believe me, teaches lessons. Now, what you do with them is on you. But the way you win is understanding obstacles are the way. If you got, I ain't saying go out and purposely have no obstacles, but you're going to have them. And it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. And it only builds character. I'm in this business 27 years. I'm an entrepreneur for over 30. And you don't think I've had obstacles? I may have had plenty of obstacles. But the hardest thing for me to realize is that they were because the way I handled it. I looked at everything as a lesson. I looked at everything as a benefit. Because they say if you learn from it, it's a win. And the more you learn, the more knowledge you get. The more knowledge you get, the more power you have. When you implement that power, you dominate. And this is why I'm in a domination stage now, because I went through so many obstacles that I took as lessons. And it helped me build knowledge. And that knowledge helped me be the best in my industry. It works. It works, man. So that's a beautiful thing. You got to understand it. All right. Understand along the way. Celebrate small victories. Celebrate small victories. What happens is a lot of times we want to go from 0 to 10, 0 to 100, and then wondering why it didn't work. Because it ain't built that way. It ain't built that way. You got to understand and embrace the small victories, but you can't live in the small victories. You can't live in them. You embrace them, because what happens is small victories give us motivation to see that we're doing something right. So it pushes us to keep going. But you can't live in there, and you can't have low targets and hit those targets and think you won. Go from 0 to 2 first. Then from 2 to 4. 4 to 6, 6 to 8. And before you know it, you add 10. But we want from 0 to 10 right away. And it don't work like that. Plus, it brings discouragement. So when we're talking about doing it for the long haul, it's another cliche, but it's true. It's not a sprint, man. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. And this is how we win long term. All right. So if you apply those things, it's going to be hard for you to lose. It's going to be hard for you to lose, man. Because again, it's proven. The one thing I learned early on was success leaves trails. Success leaves trails. And the one thing I was very good at was following those trails. I read Les Brown's and I read, all of the people out there that was doing phenomenal things. And I say, well, if they've done it this way, and see, this is why reading and personal and business development is so important, because if you read multiple people that are successful, what you're going to find out is most of these people did a lot of the same things. So I'm like, hold up, if it worked for those 10 and they all now millionaires or billionaires, why wouldn't that work for me? And I'm not saying you have to do everything. You don't have to do it the same way they did it. You're going to have, based on your personality, based on your skill set, you may have a few little twerks here and there. And so when I say twerks here and there, I'm not encouraging nobody. I'm not encouraging nobody to go to the club and earn you some extra money. They don't like, well, that's a sign. He said twerk. Plus he said, he said basically get in shape. He said extra income. No, I'm not talking about in that sense. So don't be trying to put it together. Don't be put it together. Yeah, so I'm just saying, man, these things work. All right. And the last thing before we get into the phenomenal, extraordinary, amazing, but most of all, she's good people. Miss Rhonda J gonna be here, y'all. She gonna give y'all a little insight. We're gonna talk about the book. We're gonna talk about, some of the things that we need to do as a community. A little bit of all that, man. And the one thing I can say, I trust her. We be talking about we don't know who to go to. You can't trust these people, because they take your money. Them $18 you have, ain't nobody trying to take them $18 you starting with. Because you hear these stories about these multi-millionaires. Get there first. Get there first. But the best thing we can have is somebody that we can refer. And I've been entrusting her with my money for years now. Years. And so if you trust me, then you got to trust her. And that's how it works. So before we get into that, I'm going to leave y'all with this last one. They said poor people spend their money and invest what's left. Rich people invest, then they spend what's left. And the amount doesn't matter. Let me get y'all again. Poor people spend their money and invest what's left. Rich people invest, then spend what's left, and the amount doesn't matter. People, that is profound. Because see, and when I say we, I'm talking about the Black community, not just because it's Black History Month. It's basically because when I talk, my whole love is for the Black community. I'm not anti nobody, I'm just pro us. And I know where we at in the state right now. So we got to understand this stuff and how it works and stop being scared of it. Because a lot of times we'll spend our money so we can say we don't have money to invest because we don't understand how it works. That's why we got to get educated to change the dynamics. And so basically what they're saying is when you get your money, before you spend any of your money, invest first and then live off what's left. And the one thing I know about Black folks, we will adapt to any situation. If we say, you know what, I've been investing $100, that's $100 out of my paycheck, I don't have no more. I guarantee you in 2 weeks, you'll learn to live your life now without that $100. Because you're going to adjust some things. You're going to adjust some things. You're going to probably not wear as many wigs. I'm just saying.
Oh my goodness.
You might not buy as many wigs. Oh, well, you know. And I'm just saying, and fellas, when I found out how much it costs to get a haircut and a beard trim at the bar, they'll be like, he a hell of a tax man, but he be raggedy. Bruh, like somebody told me they pay $85 a week for a haircut and a beard trim. And I'm not saying if you have it and you can afford it, that's amazing. But most people, most cats I know, $85 a week. And I've talked to one dude said when him and his son go, it's over $100 visit. That's crazy. Right. You need to get you some clippers and know how to trim until you have to go get you a super tighten up. But you ain't gonna make me believe that you're gonna spend that kind of money and don't have no type of investment. And then I know in some cases you can't afford it. Right, like regular haircuts now are $45. Cat's telling me that between the haircut and the tip, they just paying $45 for a regular cut. And these barbers now, they be slick with it. They had a hot towel and all this stuff, and you be paying for all of that. Y'all can say what y'all want about me. Y'all ain't gonna see no more hair on this head. I be complaining about the razors. Like if you buy them razors, the razors expensive. You get a lot of them. They're expensive, but they last a while though. I make sure they last a while. But yeah, but it's like, boy, look, let me tell you, it's a beautiful thing to wake up and not have to go to the barber and pay $85 a week. Because I be thinking, I equate everything to a trip. Like, man, that's a couple of months saved on that. That's a trip. All right, people. So again, man, let's be smart with our money. We are our own worst problem a lot of times when it comes to money, when it comes to investing, when it comes to doing all of those things that we need to do to be successful. We have to change our mind. We have to shift. And when we're talking about shifting, we have to have invest first. And this is why I tell you, you talk about self-love. Know what self-love is? I'm paying me first. I'm paying me before I pay anybody else because I love me more than I love anybody else. And I mean that by the electric company, the gas company. Even if I got to put something on it, I'm paying me first and I'll put something on it. That's all right. I don't need all of them lights. So can I basically have you? Y'all gonna cut my lights off. Can I tell y'all which rooms to do? I'll pay for I'll pay for the kitchen and the bedroom. So we don't know. All right, y'all. So talking about investing, man. And it's a beautiful thing. And I knew this young lady character was great from the first time I met her. She invited me out. Well, and this is why character and relationships are so important. Actually, a good friend of mine from New Orleans. Shout out to Chanel. You know, I appreciate you for making the connect. Chanel knew Rhonda, and she was like, Brian, Rhonda has a finance class. Can you come in and speak? I say, oh, yes. So I went to go speak to the class, and that's how the relationship started, man. She allowed me the platform. Anybody allowed me a platform to really help is going to always be a friend of mine. And then before you know it, Rhonda got into the financial service business, really started pushing it, growing. I'm seeing the moves, and it's only fair. It's only fair that if somebody's going to give me a platform to spread my knowledge, that I got to do business with it for something that I said I want to do anyway. So here we are. It's been 10 years yet? It's been 10 years. So here it is, 10 years later, man. As my friend, she supported me on a lot of things I've done. As my financial advisor, as my author sister, and as a phenomenal woman. Let's give a hand clap to Miss Rhonda Jones. People don't know that side of it. Okay? People don't know that side of it. Don't know that side of it. All right, so Ms. Rhonda.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good.
All right, so let everybody know who you are. Give us a little history. I gave a little bit, but let us know who you are, where you're from, what you're about, all of those things.
Oh, he said where I'm from. So I have to start there because it's our year. Oh, it's been decades. It's our year. I'm from Michigan. Woohoo! Go Blue! I know it's gonna be some folks in the comments gonna be like, oh Lord. But yes. Lions crushed my heart, but it's okay. We were there. We were 30 minutes away from a Super Bowl. So I'm originally from Michigan, but I've been here in Georgia for 17 years. So they say once you cross over 10, then you can say you're a Georgia peach. So, so I've been here in Georgia for 17 years. Like you said, been in finance. So in the investment side of finance for over a decade now. Brian's been with me for 10 years. And then before that, I was also in finance, hence how we got the connection. So over at least over 15 years on that side. So I'm a certified financial planner. I help folks with their financial goals. I help them with their investment strategies, help them grow their wealth, help them build legacy in their family. And because legacy starts with a foundation, I decided that I wanted to write a children's book to help children understand finance, because that's where it starts. If they start to understand, then they're starting early and they can just continue to build. Because I hear you say all the time, Brian, that you can just start with a small amount, and that small amount, if you do it long enough, it grows and it snowballs, and it's something that you can really grow. So so that's me.
All right. That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
I like hearing that, authors. We got to definitely get you at the Authors Initiative.
Yes.
So you can put the book out there, let folks know what you got going on. Place this.
Okay.
How did that?
So
last
both of
time?
us. Let's go back. There you go. All right.
Yeah, but all right, y'all, we come on. I did that the last time, I think. I don't know what I did. I just be doing this stuff. All right. So, what was this always your passion to get into finance?
Math was my favorite subject in school.
Okay.
So I'm going to say yes. However, I did my undergrad in journalism. And so I actually, was a writer at some point, not of books, but, writing for newspapers. And I thought I'd be the next Oprah, but that didn't work out. And, I realized that journalism wasn't going to give me the financial path that I wanted. So I went back and I got my MBA, and that's when I majored in finance.
Okay. So with that, like, why wouldn't you?
Teacher, and then they told me, you will love this, Brian. So they told me, well, you're going to have to do a year of student teaching, and it's free.
Yeah.
So you're working, but you don't get paid, and you were doing it for credit hours. And so I went to the guidance counselor, and I was like, okay, so I finished all of these credits. So what can I cash them in for, like degree wise? And then so I was majoring in English at the time and communications, and so they switched me over to journalism. I didn't want to do the student teaching. I love teachers, but I didn't want to do it for free.
Yeah. No, but teaching is a hard job, man. That's a hard job.
Yeah.
And I want to do some events for teachers, really just to give them a peace of mind where they can get out and just spread, because it's different now. It's different. But what I like was you went from that to still teaching. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't look at this, but now getting into the investments and understanding that and talking with people, you're teaching all the time. So with that, one of the things when I talked about people investing first and then spending versus spending and investing, what's your take on that, though? How you
invest first and spend?
Yeah, and then what's a good strategy for people?
Yeah. So, there's what's called the 50-20-30 rule. Have you heard of that? Or 50-30-20 rule?
Yeah, 50-30-20.
Mhm. So you're already earmarking a percentage that you're going to save and invest. There's a portion that you are spending on your bills, and then you can use that other to gift or.
So the 50 is your necessities, right? The 30 is what?
The 30 should be your savings and your investments.
Okay, so 30 is your savings and investments. 50 is your necessities. 30 is your saving investment, and so the 20 is strip club. So I'm thinking 20 is all the casual stuff. And that's why, like people, you don't have to be extreme. That's the thing, is that we always think we have to be extreme with everything. And you really don't. You really don't have to be extreme. You can still have fun, you can still enjoy some stuff, but you still have to understand you gotta let something get away. And so why do you think it's so hard for us to still accept that concept of our money making money?
You said why do we struggle with that concept?
Why we still struggle with that concept? Because it sounds logical in a sense when you mention like, oh, your money making money. We've all heard it, but why do we still as a community struggle with that process of doing it?
It's fear.
But where's
the
that?
biggest. That's the biggest.
Why and where does that fear come from?
Yeah. So it starts with fear of the unknown if you've never done it before. And it also is impatience, unfortunately. Because if you think about it, so let's say that somebody tells you you're going to get this great return on this investment. Let's just throw it out, 25% rate of return. Well, if you do it on $100, that's $2.50, right? Mm-hmm. You do it on $1,000, that's $250. But you had to build to get there. So if you have a small amount and you see it moving, in the market, then you are going to get nervous and you're not going to want to put more in. So there's actually a strategy in the market, at least, that buy low, sell high. But when the market is low, people don't want to buy because they're like, well, wait a minute, if I put my money here and, and then it went down, why would I want to put more money there? So the strategy is you have to buy when it's low. So then when it goes up, then you're getting more, I always tell clients, I say, if you like that shirt and you paid $50 for it, and now it's on sale for $40, but you still like that shirt, why didn't you buy the shirt at $40? That's like the mindset of it, right? I want to buy it when it's lower. Like you talked about the hotel, and you said, same hotel, but you paid less than someone else, right? So if that's the case, then it's the same thing. But in the market, if I see that shirt and it's at 50, I want to buy it at 50. But then when it's 40, I'm like, no, I don't want it at 40, but that doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
That doesn't make sense.
All right, so one of the things that I really want to do is really just kind of break some stuff down in layman's terms. We talk about fear and us not getting into it because a lot of it we don't really understand. We hear a lot of the terms, but we're just not familiar with it. And I just wanted to just break down a couple of things. So when we talk about stocks, what's the best way that you could describe stocks in like its simplest form?
Great. Okay, so we have a lot of different brands around here, so I'm just gonna throw something out. You have Hershey's Kisses sitting here, right? So in the simplest form, Hershey made this chocolate. You are giving your money to Hershey, and you're saying, Hershey, here's my money, and a whole group of us are putting our money with Hershey, and then the CEO and the people who run Hershey need to make it profitable. And when they make it profitable, then that means that the stock price is going to go up. If they are not profitable, they're laying off people, they're in the red, they're in debt, things like that, the stock price goes down. So when we buy Hershey, whether you have stock in it or not, whether you have stock in it or not, when you bought it, you were investing in it. And I tell people that all the time. You can be a passive investor, meaning that I am buying your product. So I'm helping you to be profitable. Or I can be an active investor and I can invest in Hershey, give you the money, and then you go and make the business profitable. And when it's profitable, you give me back the profits. That's how the stock price goes up.
So basically, stocks mean that I'm buying basically into the company. I'm getting a percentage of the company. And that's what stocks is. And so we hear people say, well, you own part of the company once you buy into it, you know. And so I think because we think it's something super, super complex when we hear stocks and we got to know every piece of it, you know. And so I always say, like, simplify things. What would be the easiest way? If I say I want to start investing in stock, what is the easiest way to kind of get into it?
That's a great question, because I think you strip away the fear when you're familiar with the company that you're investing in. So, you know, great example, those great trucks go up and down our streets all the time, delivering packages to our door, right? That same company, everybody knows who it is, that same company, their stock price went down because the whole stock market went down in 2022. But did the company stop having green trucks going up and down our street and packages on our door? As long as you see that that activity continues, then you can look at it and you can go, I feel okay with it. You know, I feel comfortable that they're not going out of business. If I walk into a company and I don't see anybody in line, I don't see anybody buying stuff, that's probably not the company that I want to buy. But to be honest with you, Brian, those are the ones that folks like will say, oh yeah, go get that. It's only $1 per share. Well, they're almost bankrupt. I don't know if I would want to get that one. I mean, you know, they're almost bankrupt. So you have to, you know, get something that is profitable.
Sustainable and profitable.
Yeah. So pick things you know.
Yeah. So basically, and that's the easiest way. And like I said, what happened was, I don't know if you remember when I brought for my daughter's 16th birthday, I brought her to you because I told that's what she was getting. She wasn't doing no sweet 16 party, wasn't doing any of that. I was buying her stocks. And so what we did was I told her to pick 5 companies she was familiar with, she used. And I said to say that that's one of the easiest ways to really get an understanding of how it's stuff that you use. You know, if you're using, if you have AT&T or Apple or any of those, then if you're not sure how the market work or what's a good stock versus a bad, I always say buy something you use, because now you're part of that company. So you're getting a return on, but every time I pay my bill, is a return. So I like the way you initially broke that down, even when I first met you. And that's how I kind of got the concept of it. And I think this is why it's so important that we talk to Rhonda's, because again, with Rhonda, she's going to talk to you. She's going to give you the 411, but she's going to tell it in layman's terms. And I think that's what a lot of people can't do. They can't explain this stuff in layman's terms. Now, another thing that people always hear is mutual funds. So basically, what's the difference between mutual funds and stocks, and how does that work?
Yeah, so we always hear about the word diversification, like diversify. Well, people think diversify is have a little something here, have a little something there, have a little something there. But you can diversify all within the same thing. So a mutual fund is a basket of stock. So we take all these little companies, we put them in one, fund, and then if that fund grows, then the per share grows. So perfect example, tech last year was killing it. So if you had a tech fund, like you didn't have to guess which tech company to get, you could just get a fund that focuses on tech. Okay. And that in itself will have all of those companies. So here's the good thing about a fund. It's like a swimming pool. It has all these companies in here. If it's a weak swimmer, they can't get upstream, then they'll pluck that one out and put another company in. So that's a mutual fund. But then an index fund, same concept, but you start with the same swimmers and they just got to be strong all the way upstream. So they don't switch it out, but it's the same thing. It's a basket of the same of companies.
And how important it is when we talk about these phrases and doing this, how important that, like with modeling, I'm a big on modeling, and I always say you don't have to know everybody and everything about what goes on, but if I see my mother or you see your father as a child, see them doing certain things, how have you seen that transition to now younger people getting into it a little bit more?
You know what? I am really excited about the next generation behind us. Like, I'm really excited about it because they understand investing, whereas we learned along the way. Because our parents before us, think about it. We talked about fear. If we just kind of look generationally, let's go back 3 generations, not our grandparents, but our great grandparents. When they had something, it was always in jeopardy of someone taking it. So the trust there was, not there, because I give the bank or I give the insurance person or I give whomever my money, and I may not ever see them again, or they might, not do the right thing with it. So the further along you come, closer to our generation, now we are the generation of 401ks. That's really your first investment for a lot of us, is a 401k. And there's statistics is there's not a lot of people that participate. So I encourage you.
Oh, wow.
and matching dollars is automatically making your dollars grow. So, we had 401ks and stock plans and things like that. So now our children, like Jamie, she understands stock. My son understands stock. So yeah, the more we educate, the better. I'm excited about the next generation.
All right, y'all. Say y'all got to start letting y'all kids know, man. Y'all got to start it, because what I always say, modeling is so important. Because one of the things that I was blessed of, my mom didn't have a lot of money, but my mom was really good with money. What you doing?
Oh, thank you. Treats.
This ain't no treats. They know I'm trying to quit. Hey, y'all, like I said, if I overdose this fatigue, bringing me Reese's, and I'm trying to quit, man. I fast all day yesterday, and y'all trying to get me, that was cleansing. And so, you want a Reese's?
No, thank you.
But yeah, I think I was a product of modeling. Because, like I said, my mom didn't have a lot of money, but I've never seen my mom with bad money habits. And I've always seen, like, as soon as she get her bills, she pay her bills. She basically would have, she ain't let no credit cards get up. She paid everything out, and she was always, and I didn't even realize it when I was younger. But as I got older and I started just kind of seeing things. And I think that's very important, man. So y'all got to really set good examples for the kids by your habits, because they're watching. Because see, the thing we always say with kids, we always say, well, kids, they're like a sponge. Everything else, you got to watch what you say around kids, and these kids will repeat what you say. But we never think about that from a financial standpoint and a money standpoint. We don't think about that. So that same rule applies regardless. If it's gossip, if it's whatever it is, when you start talking money and saying money and having these kind, kids remember that. Kids remember. So we have to understand. So we touch on sweat equity at $1 billion tables. What does that take in the like to build it? All right, we probably can talk about building on a Disney stocks or Facebook as a startup. And the only reason why, and she was asking, can we talk about sweat equity for $1 billion tables? And the thing about it is that I know my audiences a lot of times, and I know who I'm talking to, and not that we don't want to talk that talk, but again, we got to basically, just like we're breaking down simplistically, what is mutual funds, what are stocks, those things, we start talking about $1 billion terms and using things that people really don't understand, we done lost them. And that's when we be back to square one, because we don't invest. We don't do certain things because we're not familiar with it. And with things that you're not familiar with it, you're going to run from. And that's why I love what you do. And I love the fact that, you've always been able to break it down simplistically to where we get it. And so once we get it and we get in the game, then we have those different conversations. So those are coming. Don't worry about that. Those are coming. All right. So when we're talking about like manifesting and understanding, modeling with the kids and stuff, I heard a little secret around here.
What's that?
That you might have a kids book.
I do.
Yeah, you might have a kids
I have
book.
a kids book. I actually have I can show you.
Oh,
What, you got one?
okay.
It's called Dimes, Dollars, Dreams. I do. I have one.
No, that's a beautiful.
So, thank you. So, my inspiration for this, like I said, wanting kids to start understanding early. I want them to understand three things. I want them to understand, one, their worth, that they have value, and two, that they can work for what they want. They can dream big. They can have big dreams. The name of the book is Dimes, Dollars, Dreams. The character is Curious Calvin. And Curious Calvin, in each book, he learns a different money concept. And so in this book, I don't want to give everything away, but you mentioned collaboration. So he learns about compounding. So he learns that simple thing that we talk about, that money can grow, that money can compound, and that it's all about saving and being consistent with your savings. That's number one. Number two, he earns his money. He earns through good old chores. Do you remember back in the day? Chores. And he learns negotiation skills. He negotiates with his dad. Like he has a chore chart, and he's looking at things that he does around the house. And it's not just go do the lawn, but negotiating and understanding. Somebody says sweat equity. Maybe the lawn is a little bit more to do than to take out the trash, right? So let me negotiate my work. Let me save. And then he collaborates. He meets, people in school who teach him how to save money. He learns how to have a goal, which a lot of us don't, start there. Like, what is my goal that I'm trying to accomplish? So,
Yeah, and that's extremely important. And I'm gonna tell you why you said it, because coming from Black parents, like, and this is a difference. We laugh when we talk about other nationalities. We talk about them and with their kids. But I'm not saying talking back is a great thing in every sense. But when you say negotiating, if I was to tell my mom or my dad, if they was to say, well, if you go cut that lawn, I'm gonna give you $1. Like $1? Like, all right, can we do $1.50? Like they're already in this position. They're already in that position, like $1. Well, you better get the hell out of here. You lucky I'm giving you $1. And so the thing is, though, we basically, as Black parents, we couldn't get away with the same thing other communities say. Well, no, because the going rate for grass cutting is $5. Like, that's negotiation. Yeah. So a lot of times we were shut down from that. Yeah. We ain't no negotiating. Yeah. But like you said, those type of traits, you teach kids those things. Now they're not uncomfortable when they get older. And so we have to understand now as parents now, all right, let me listen and see what you have to say. See what your rebuttal is to this. See if you have a good point, because you may have a good point. And I think we never actually had the ability to do that. It was basically, you either gonna do this or you're gonna get smacked down. And so those things were very important. You talked about chores, like we really got to get back to that with our kids. We really, and even in the business, because the one thing I always take a picture when I'm out and I'm some of the other communities and they have their kids working. And so when we talk about chores different now in the sense of, because we've gotten in a position where our kids don't have to do certain things. We got dishwashers, we got maids, we got all these things now, and so you got all kinds of things where these kids ain't washing no dishes, and and there's a whole lot of things that come with that. So chores might be bring them to your job, to your business, and make them do things and teach them things like that. And so we got to do that. I remember, and it's so crazy, the reason why even with my men's program, what I said and I tell people, I said, if we go out to speak to kids as 25 men, kids gonna remember that. They're gonna see 25 successful men coming together. So you'll never be able to tell them that black men don't stick together. Right. But then the thing is, I said, everybody have something, I don't care how old you are, something that happens in kindergarten that you still remember. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing, and I say that to say, I remember vividly, and I don't know how old I was. I know I was under 10, and we was in the store. I was in the store with my mom shopping, and I was asking my mom about percentages because it had something that said 10% off, 20% off. And she was like, "Boy, you don't need to know about that now. You'll learn about that later. You don't even need to know." Now I didn't know if she didn't know, and she just didn't want to tell me, or either she thought I was too young, you know. But in a sense, like now we got to look at that differently and say, well, no, percentages is if you do this and bring that to your kids at that age, it'll make so much of a difference. So I really enjoy like what you're even just saying. I haven't read the book yet, but understanding compound interest. And when you're talking about building wealth, this is the kind of conversations that people talk about, compounded interest. So to get to those terms in the book, did you talk to kids or just based on your experience? How did it come about, the concept, and you know that they were effective for what age demographics is it?
Yeah, great question. So elementary.
Okay.
Yeah, elementary. My ideal age, I love this age. I catered this book to this age is third grade. Mm-hmm. Because third grade is that pivotal point in elementary where you've learned enough, math concepts, you've learned enough, you're 8 normally, mm-hmm. you're 8 or 9. And you can start learning things that can then prepare you for like middle school and things like that. So that's the ideal age, elementary, third grade, sweet spot. But what I want to tell you about, because you mentioned parents and that conversation with the kids. So when I go out and I do book signings, I call it an experience. So they're not just coming to me open the book and write and then hand you the book. It is an experience. So when the kids come in, first of all, I try to have it at places where it's a kid-friendly place where they're going to come in, they're going to have a great time. But whatever parent or adult comes with them, when they get the book, they get a chore chart. So already I want them to go home and have this conversation with the kid. They get Calvin dollars. So I want them to be able to, earn their Calvin dollars doing something, something fun or whatever. And then when we do little excerpts from the book, we have a Dimes, Dollars, Dreams scavenger hunt. So I say when the Curious Calvin crew comes into town, we're going to be raining dimes and dollars, right? So all over wherever we are, there's dimes, there's dollars. They find their money, they have to count it. And so then, I give away banks and things like that for them to go home and, and start this process. So I tell the adult, go home, read it with them. So even if they're little, like little toddlers or whatever, you can read it with them. If they're older, have the older read it to a younger, because that's how you learn, is by teaching others, So it's an experience, when they come.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And what I love about it too is hands-on. Mm-hmm. And that's how you, like I said, you learn really hands-on. And kids have to do that because it irks me when I see, and I don't know if the word is irk, but when I go to some of the other places and I see the other nationalities have their kids in at a younger age, and I already know this is the head starts that they have that we don't get. Mm-hmm. And so we have to understand, we got to start getting them by third grade, man, because they're much smarter. Kids are much smarter than we think. Much smarter than we think. And the thing is, they've been exposed to so much. And it's important that you mention, I talk about this all the time. So, I'll give it to you at the end as well. But what's your IG?
So you can see some of the events at Curious Calvin Books. That's my IG, at Curious Calvin Books, or at Rhonda J. Either. Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, and definitely make sure y'all follow Rhonda J, man. She's the reason why I'm a millionaire. So.
I want to say something about kids being smart. So I went back home to Michigan. This was during Christmas, and the week of Christmas, they aren't really working. They're just coming like pajama day and candy cane day and stuff like that. So I had an opportunity to read to 90. This was 3rd through 5th grade, 90 students. And I start out, so we bring music, everything is fun. So I start out and I say, who has the courage to raise your hand and tell me your dream, right? Because it's all about the dinosaur's dreams. So one kid raised his hand and he said, yeah, I want to have a food bank. He said, I want to go to places and get donations of food and families in need can come and get food. I was blown away. I was like, what? And so that was one kid. Another kid started talking about he wanted to have a lawn care service and he want to have a crew to, do lawns. So they're not thinking, I just want to go, get a job. They're thinking entrepreneurial, nonprofit, helping the community. So one kid raised his hand and he was super shy. And so I went over to him and I said, do you want to tell your dream? And he goes, can I tell it to you? Will you tell it to them? I said, yeah. So he whispers it in my ear. I tell everybody. And so I said, this is an example of someone having your back. Like as I was talking to, saying I have my hand right here. And so I said, tell people what you want to do. There's going to be people who will help you along the way. And so then all the little shy kids start raising their hands and they're like, yeah. But I want them to know that adults are there to help, to support. We've got your back. If you tell us what what your dreams are, you never know who you might be talking to who can help you.
Exactly.
That collaboration.
And that's why we have to look at, we can't relate our experience and lifestyles and upbringing to the kids. Because again, like you said, they talking entrepreneurship. Everything they talking, ain't nobody say, well, I want to work for IBM, and make $80,000 a year. They already know what kind of business they want to be in. And children today are coming up in a different time frame. Like my daughter never once seen me work a job. All she's seen was entrepreneurship. All she's seen was the luxury stuff. And so she don't have a concept of working a job. She did after she got out of college. That lasts about a year. It's like, I'm doing my own thing. She was like, Daddy, you'll be proud of me. I say, why? She was like, I quit my job. I'm going to do my own thing. And I'm like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
As long as you're serious about it, we good. But they don't get an opportunity. Like in my generation, most people now a lot of people have their own businesses. So if your kid is 20-something, under 20, they probably never saw you work a job. So they don't know. They're not watching videos and TV shows and the people they following getting up going to work.
Right.
They're seeing more 13, 14, 17-year-old millionaires. So they don't have that concept. So we have to understand, you got to talk to the kids differently. You got to show them things differently. My thing is, as opposed to fighting them on it, why not call Rhonda and say, Rhonda, how can I get that book to teach them about money? Because they want to make money. They want to do these things. I just want them to make sure they do the right thing with it. Yeah. Because you mentioned 3rd grade. And are you familiar with the prisoner pipeline?
Yes.
Yeah, see, and that's why that 3rd grade is so, and when you said that, I was so glad to hear you say that, because we have a prison to pipeline epidemic that's going on. And what they're saying is, if that child by the 3rd grade really is not up to par, it's more likely they're going to go to prison. And so this is why we got to catch kids early and give them an opportunity and put them in positions where they're going to learn and they're going to want to learn. So that's why I love what you're doing. I love the whole process about not just the money, but the dreams. But it's about all of that. So we got to actually allow them to manifest their dreams, because what we do is, and this is again why your book is so important, is because we encourage kids to do a whole lot. Most adults had dreams, but as they got older, we started listening to people saying, "Oh, you can't do that. What make you think you could do that?" Or you start hanging around people that nobody else was doing this, so you figure, well, now if they ain't doing it, why? I'm not doing it. But when we kids, you can be anything you want.
True.
You can. But a lot of times, what happens is we still get told that, but nobody show us how to. And that's why what you're doing, I love it, is so important, because again, you're giving us not only I can manifest my dream, but this is how I can do it. You know, so one of the things that I want to know about the book, again, I didn't have a chance to look through it, but what about terms and terminology? Is there something like a glossary or something in there? Or?
So this is the first one, and I've gotten that feedback a lot on the glossary. So Curious Calvin, every book, he's going to be learning a new concept. But I think that, you know, moving forward with the next book, it's going to already have concepts in there. So, you know, as they go to the next book, then they'll say, okay. So this one was about compounding. He's going to learn about collaboration.
Okay.
That's the next C.
Yes.
He's going to learn about entrepreneurship. And so I'll just show you like this very back cover, right? So, and there's a little storyline that goes through here, but see, he's building, building the wealth building.
Yeah.
Yeah, so each book will have something different. So it's really geared towards elementary. I wanted to make sure that they could read it on their own if they wanted to, you know, that kind of third grade-ish group. And yeah, but there's more activities as well. Okay. There's going to be an activity book that comes out as well.
Yeah, and it's perfect for me because it got big old pictures in it. You know, I read pictures. You know, so if y'all got a book with a lot of pictures, then it's for me. You know,
elementary kids like that.
I don't even buy a book if it looks too thick. I don't even buy it. So if you got a thick book, I'll buy it. If somebody like thick books, I'll buy it and maybe donate it or gift it to you. But yeah, I ain't buying no thick book and it don't have no pictures in it. Yeah, don't call me. All right, so now we appreciate you. Thank you for the collaboration and bringing people together on a bigger scale. You know, so yeah, we still need to talk because there's some bigger things that I want to do. I had some conversation, and I would like, and like I said, when we talk about the collaboration with me now working with some of the Black-owned banks, you know, I want banks and stuff to get behind projects like this, you know, because again, we need to start focusing on that next generation. Like with me, this is why I keep trying to pull young people in and educate them and teach them, because I understand at some point I ain't gonna say not want to, because I enjoy doing this, but I may not be able to, probably because I'm gonna be in another country. So I do need, you know, young people to get this stuff and understand, because that next generation. So if you basically have a business and you're trying to recruit young people, or you're working with young people, you need to buy this book in bulk. You need to buy it and pass it along and start creating a team. Start educating. If you're a business owner, buy 10, 15 books and bring out young kids and educate them on money and what you're doing and how that relates to what you have. You know, because that matters, man. It matters. So if anybody DM me, inbox me, if you have a child that's in elementary school, DM me, you know, and so we might have a gift for you. Because again, I want you to do this. And this is why, again, Ron has been very instrumental in, if some of y'all don't know, for years I've been doing a single mothers program where I'll put the money up front to open up some type of retirement plan, custodial plan, or a 529 college fund. So right now, we've done this probably, and I know I haven't did them all through you now, but we're probably up to about maybe 60, 69, I think 69 or 72. And my goal has always been to get to 100, like get to 100. So I appreciate everybody who's given donations, who helped out and assist, because I understand, man, when you got young kids, and it's always been to do this for the kids. And she done added another element. So not only are we basically creating 529s and custodials, because we're not having as many people gonna go to school, but this is the perfect gift. Hands-on, instrumental, you know, and like I say, that's the one area that we're losing at, because I think, and somebody put a video out and said, this is what we do. And they showed a little boy, and I hate a African-American guy, little boy, what I say, and he was on the mic, he was busting raps. And they showed a little kid from Asia that was probably 2 years old doing the little slide thing with the colors. And it was like, this is why we can't compete. You know, and it's some truth to that. We don't want to face the fact, but it's some truth to that. The stuff they're learning, the technology they're learning at a young age. If you in my group on Instagram, I always shoot them reels and videos about sometimes encouraging stuff, but I noticed the last couple of times there's been a lot of stuff with AI, you know, and so we got to understand, man, if you're not controlling money or technology, artificial intelligence, internet, we're going to really be left behind. And it's easier for us to really get into the money and understand that, you know, with books like yours. So I do, you know, commend you.
A statistic, Brian. I want to make sure that I went over this. So the reason that I start with, so here's the kind of the background on the title, Dimes, Dollars, Dreams. When I first got into finance, you know, just those basic concepts. Mm-hmm. And I think it's great that we start, you know, with big thinking, like, you know, I want to get $1 million and then I'm starting from ground zero. Help me get there. I think that's a great concept. What ends up happening is as we see it grow, we pull it out, mm-hmm. right? And then we see it grow and we pull it out. And so it's not pull it out as in the strategy of, oh, I got some profit, let me pull a profit to the side and maybe rebalance it to something a little safer. No, they pull it out and they go mm-hmm. and they spend it. So I was talking to someone one time and I said, I'm just going to keep it really simple. I said, if you have 10 dimes, what do you have? Dollars. Okay. If you got $10, you know, it just keeps compounding, it keeps growing, right? And then if you add dividends onto that, that's money that's, you know, and so I was giving them this concept and we were talking about living on the dime, right? And how to squeeze that money out. I heard you talking earlier about finding ways to save. So here is a survey. And this came out in September of 2023. So you have to remember we had high inflation and stuff like that year. It says a new survey has found that most Americans have $1,000 or less in their personal savings account in 2023. Oh. A third of those surveyed have $500 or less. So then they start to break it down by the age groups. It says 35 to 45 leads the pack with no savings.
Wow.
So 35 to 45. 35 to 45 used to be seen as you're beginning to be in your higher earning years. You know, at 35, you kind of know where your career is going or your business or something like that. And then by 40, you know, you're starting to really get into your higher earning years. So they're leading the pack with no savings. The group following that is age 18 to 24. So 35 to 44 has the same amount of savings as 18 to 24. Wow. Let that sink in for a second. 18 to 24, you just graduated high school. You're still in college or just graduating college, and the savings are equal. So, you know, that's why I said the book is for a child, but if you take those small concepts that are in this book and you teach your worth, you teach negotiating your salary as an adult, negotiating contracts if you're a business owner, you know, those type of things, making sure that you save and then you take those savings and you earn interest on it. Taking those savings and when you go out to spend, because Curious Calvin has an opportunity to spend some money, but then he remembers, wait a minute, I need to save some of this too. So it's small concepts for a kid, but it will trickle into the adult who's talking with them because, you know, $1,000 or less, and in some cases $500 or less. So, you know, those are concepts that we have to keep in mind.
Yeah, and the thing about the book and reading and all of those things is the fact that it's a mindset shift. Mm-hmm. So when you learn those things early and you pick it up, it becomes habit to you now. So as you get older, you're much better with money because you understand, you know, how the money flows, how it accumulates, how it compounds. Mm-hmm. Because again, when I start, and that's anything, as if you're working out and you start seeing results, it makes you want to work out more and give you a little bit more encouragement.
Yeah.
So when you start seeing your money grow, that's basically start to push you now. Like, all right, you know what? And that's always simple. That's how I started, because the misconception that we always talk about is you need a lot of money to do it. And you don't, and I think with in me as an example, when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing when I was investing. I started with 25. I remember we started with Primerica, and I had $25 a month. And the next statement I got, I saw $600. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, what if I do 50? I started doing $50 a month. And the next statement I saw was about 1,600 and something. I was like, whoa. And they just kept thinking, like, damn, what if I did this amount? So it encouraged me now to start putting more in it, and it grows. And that's the misconception that we have, that we believe that it's one of those situations where you've got to have a lot of money, and that's why we always want to try to educate individuals on that, because again, if we don't learn that concept of starting, early on, we'll never be able to accumulate, because right now you can't work your way to riches.
Right.
You can't work your way to riches. So everybody who got W-2s who thinking they're getting a raise on their job, I just talked to a young lady, and she said she got a $20,000 raise, and she had more than she was before.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, if we don't have good money management skills and we don't understand that our money needs to be working, then 20,000 will probably bump you to another tax bracket.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases. So if I go from a 12% tax bracket to a 22% tax bracket, that means now I'm paying 10% more on my money. But know what's happening? On the extra 20,000, they taking out much more now.
Right.
So since they're taking out much more, I'm bringing home. So it looks like, but what I understand is they breaking that 20,000 over 12 months. Mm-hmm. So now if they break it down over 12 months, I'm not getting 20,000. That sounds good. But over 12 months, minus the taxes, minus all of the stuff coming home, now what I'm doing is I'm bringing home an extra $500 a month. But I didn't went out and did something that's going to accumulate my lifestyle, because I got $20,000 a month. So I may go get another car.
Yeah.
I may go get, now I got another car. I got a fancier car because I'm making $20,000. I may upgrade my apartment. If I'm in an apartment, I may upgrade my house.
Yeah.
But now I'm in more debt, even though I'm making more money. And this is why these things, money concepts, is so important. And when we talk about so important, how important it is, because you see all of the studies, you see the things saying, if you start investing at this age, you can allow your money, and at this age, you will be a millionaire. You would have this amount. How important it is that you start super early, or can you start later and catch up and still get the same results?
Start super early. Well, here's the concept. If I start at age 20, I can start like you did, $25 a month, right? Make it very affordable, stay consistent, keep doing it, raising it, over time. Or you can start at 40, and now you got to start with $1,000 a month, because that's 20 years.
Yeah,
that's 20 years. And so there's something called the rule of 72. So rule 72, basically take your interest rate, and I don't want to go through all the math, but you can Google it. Rule 72. The concept is really that money is going to double almost every 7 to 10 years, right? So by the time that 40-year-old gets started, I was doing a fraction of what the 40-year-old person is doing, and my money is already going to be more than that person who started at 40. So can you do it at 40? 20 years later, yes. But what I share with young folks, their very first job, get yourself a Roth IRA, like as soon as you start earning, and just put the money in there. One, because you're going to get used to systematically putting that money in there. Two, as it grows, it's growing tax-free. So if you had it for 20 years, all that growth inside of there is growing tax-free. And so it's not just about investing, it's about doing it tax efficiently and making sure that you're putting the money in the right vehicle for what you're trying to use it for. So
Yeah. And that's game, man. Like a lot of y'all have young people, young kids. Start something now for your kid. Even if you say, for me, it's too late. I gotta really. I don't have $1,000 a month to catch up. And you saying everybody say I'll die for my kid, but when y'all gonna start living for them? In the sense of putting money aside to say at this point. And I say this every week. I can say proudly and my daughter is an instant millionaire when I die. And we all should have that, based on the assets that I'll be leaving, based on the financial stuff, the life insurance, all of those things. And the thing about it is, it's not as hard as we believe. And we can change the scope of everything, man. We can change the scope of everything if we all had that mentality. And again, we have platforms now. You have Rhonda J's out here that can help you start off, make an investment, answer your questions for your child. And so we have to do that, because that is scary to say between 35 to 45, no savings. You know why? Because y'all grown ass people at that age. I can forgive an 18 to 24. Right. But at 30, you got families, children at 35 to 40. At 45, you're close to retiring. And that's scary. And this is why I've been on y'all for so long about saying we're going to collectively come up with plans. We're going to sacrifice and make a situation where we're going to put $1,000 in savings. Like, we're going to start small, because I talked about this a few years ago, because during the pandemic, they were saying the same thing, like 65% of African Americans don't have $1,000 for emergency fund savings or any of that. And so that's why I keep challenging y'all, man, because it's so much comfort in knowing you have. It's so much, your life is basically different when you don't have to worry about those type of things. And I'm not saying everybody should be there, but let's strive for it. So again, it's early in the year. If you don't know how to do it, reach out. Reach out, because that is scary. 35 to 45, no savings. And now we're not picking on nobody. We're just making a point. I'm hoping that I'm really hitting the nerve with somebody and say, you know what? I can't continue to live like this. This is not cool. Because again, you got people, but then you don't want to be working till you're 70. One of my fights have been, it bothers me to see older people still working because they have to. I got clients that's 70-something years old working full-time jobs. I don't want to get up at 9 o'clock. I don't get up before 9. I couldn't imagine being 75 years old, getting up at 6:30 to be at somebody's job, and still don't have a foresight of this changing, and so we have to do something different, man. We have to do something different. Let's see. Lives are threatened every day. 20, return on investment doesn't make sense to them. No, it won't. But we're not talking about all 20-year-olds in the hood and stuff, though. My thing is, I always say we know what we're going to get with hood a lot of times. My issue is with the so-called educated parents and people that's supposed to be bragging. They in worse position. Like in the hood, they somewhat have a pass because they don't know. And like I said, and it's probably more done out of ignorance of just not knowing that because they don't get out. But my issue is the ones who basically have better resources that still don't do it.
Yeah, and to the person who said that, it is a very good point, and I just want to point this out. So as I go and I do, readings with the kids, I go all over, and inner city, I do that as well. And the thing about it is, sometimes the parent is reading this with the kid, because again, I'm handing this to the kid with all their little things that they get with the book. And they are reading a children's book, but really coming up with, oh, wow, this character is saying that I need to save, right? So even if they're walking away with a piggy bank, and one of the activities that we do is I say, okay, how can you find some money to put in your piggy bank? So I'm talking to elementary school kids, right? And so they say, oh, change in the seats, and coins on the ground, or like when my parents break $1, that kind of thing. One of the moms, because I handed the chore chart, and she did say, she was like, "Oh, he does chores for free. He ain't getting right." I said, "Okay, well, how about," because she's thinking about her own pockets, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, "Well, how about instead of something that's $1 or change or whatever, he starts with earning time." Right. And so I said, how can you give him time? Because you talked about how valuable time is. And so I said, tell me, does he play on video games, this and that? So we kind of went through that whole thing. So for mom, she was like, okay, I don't have, money to give him for a chore, but maybe he earns a little extra time on his video game, or maybe he earns, time doing XYZ. And so the whole point is to help the kid to understand that they have worth, right? They have value, and whatever it is that they're doing. The one chore I said that they will never get paid for is their bedroom. They cannot get paid for their bedroom. That is your space, and you should keep it clean, right? Period. That's not on the chore chart. You have to help your parents do something else in the house that's not your bedroom. Yeah.
But that's powerful, because the word thing is important. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we don't emphasize that early on. So if you do a combination of work, dreams, money, all those, and you instill that young, it's gonna be hard to stop that kid. Yeah. Because that's a force, man. That's a force, because it's never nothing nobody can tell me that I can't do. Because I'm doing things that most people are not doing. So I'm already feeling secure in that sense. And then I know my work, and so that's a beautiful thing. But the thing is that we have to understand, I think this is helpful because of non-spiritual health. And where they are, maybe imagine, think about 20 years, but they exposed them to have something. The last stuff. Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing, is that, like I said, if they can start early, if they can start early, man, that's a beautiful thing, because it works. And I know you've seen it firsthand, I've seen it firsthand. So when you see those charts and it's saying, if you start investing at 20-something years old, by this age you'll have 500,000, and and I'm like, that's the most beautiful is money ever. Money, and I always say, like, you hear me joking saying, one of the reasons why me and my money don't get along, me and my money don't get along, because again, we can't never hang out, because my money's always working. My money's always working, so we can't get along. And I'm like, my money never have time for me, because it's always working. Yeah. And so you have to have that, because nowadays you can't win on one salary alone, because right now we got another pandemic, which is single motherism. And so we saying, if, like, everybody, I hear this all the time saying, if I just had a husband, if I just had a spouse, if I had somebody. But I'm like, no, just you make sure you be very particular, because you know what? It's a whole lot of broke husband and wives out here. Because if both of y'all are bad with money, then you're gonna have twice the problems. Yeah. So I always say the one thing: if you don't have a spouse, make your job, make your money work. So you got to have a 2-income household. You got to have a 2-income household. It got to be you and a spouse, or you and your money. But both of us need to be working. And if we don't, it's gonna be hard, and they ain't gonna get no better. And so we have to make those transitions. So, all right. So, Brother, how can everybody get in touch with you?
Yeah.
How can they follow you? How can they buy the book?
You asked about IG, so it's at Curious Calvin Books. I encourage you all to go to at Curious Calvin Books, because you can see, the events that we have with the kids. And like I said, it's an event. Like they don't just come and get a book signing. They get activities when they walk in. There's, things for them to do, things for the parent and the kid to do, or the adult that brought them and the kid. Also, CuriousCalvinBooks.com. That's where the book is. It's also on Amazon. And like I said, at Ron DJ. So either or.
Yeah, and adults, y'all get this book too, because when she's talking about compounding, I can guarantee you that 90% of y'all don't really understand the whole compounding interest. So you can learn something from this as well. And sometimes the best way to learn is in the simplest form.
Yeah.
You know, if you learn Spanish, and you don't know it, start practicing with the children in those books and learning the elementary version of it. And that's how you learn better sometimes. So even with our finances, but compounding, people, like if you think about it, like if I take 2 times 2 equals 4, then as opposed to starting from like 2 times 2 again, then that 4 times 2 equals 8. Then that 8. So basically, that's how it, as an example. So it grows much faster. Right. It grows much faster. So I'll probably get to 100 with only 8 steps as opposed to 10. So that's how compounding kind of works in a sense. So it's something that you got to understand, because we always try to talk about flipping our money. And I don't want y'all to go flip. When I say flip your money, I don't even talk about, man, can you bail me out? You said flip, not like that. Just like I don't want y'all at Magic City, just because I mentioned
it's the lemon pepper wings.
Yeah, wings. And you told me to get a side hustle. Yeah. And I went for the wings and ended up making nothing. That's all right. But again, man, we got to understand how important this is. And I'm gonna talk on a couple of tax things.
Can I tell one more story, and then I'll make it quick? So there was a kid who came to one of the book signings, and his mom was like, well, you just got some money for your birthday, you buy your book, right? And so he brings his cash out, and I asked him, I said, what'd you get on your grades in school? And he was like, oh, I got all A's. I said, really? I said, well, you should be proud of that. You should brand yourself, right? So I'm always like telling him those words. I said, so I think you should negotiate with me on how much you pay for this book, right? So he goes, well, how much is it? So I told him. And so then he goes, maybe I'll pay $10. So the book is $14.99. So he said, maybe I'll pay $10. He pulls $10 out. I said, do you feel that your grades were only worth $5? And he goes, maybe I paid $5. And I said, that's negotiation. If you feel that your grades were worth $5, you getting $10 off this book, you asked for it, right? And so he was like, okay, $5. He put his $5 on the table. I signed that book, I gave it to him, and his mom was like, oh. So I want kids to know their worth. I want them to know their worth. So anyway, back to you, Brian.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you got to be able to bring something to the table. Again, you can't demand that and have nothing to offer. Like one thing, he had leverage in the sense of he had all A's. So he had leverage to say, all right, well, this is why I think I deserve that. And so just because you black ain't a way to deserve. Like you should give me a discount because I'm black. No, what value do you have? And so that's the thing. Just and it's okay. Like people say, don't go to black business without asking for a discount. And I put that out there. And I always say, don't dictate their pricing. And don't go if you don't have nothing to offer. So even with I'm hiring a new cleaning company, and so the guy gave me a price, and I said, well, look, let's do this. Can we do this? We can knock $100 a month off. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put you on our business directory. And it was something else I told him. So again, that's negotiation, but with value, because I'm getting a savings, but I'm giving you something in return where it's a win-win situation. And this is what we have to understand. It's okay. It's okay to negotiate it, with black businesses and that, but have some value. I would say even in the sense of being able to bring some business, bring a referral. So even if you say, well, I do this, and what I'll do, I'm gonna bring you some referrals. Be good to that word, and that's how we win. And it's okay, because if I can give up $10 discount, but you're gonna bring me 2-3 new clients, and we got to be diligent when we say that. When you say you're gonna bring somebody some clients, be diligent in that, and go out and try to hustle for that person, And this is how we win as a community. So it's not that you're lowballing them; you actually enhancing them. And it's a win situation for everybody. And it ain't nothing new. Like every community does it and they don't fail. Every community does it and they don't fail. So again, we have negotiating skills, because when we go to these Caribbean islands, we basically trying to knock off $2 on all these different things. And we go and buy all these straw hats and all the things at these little shops where we negotiating with them every time. which they put way more value. I stopped negotiating with people when I go to the islands one time. I saw a guy, he made me, I'm trying to think of what this was. This might have been in Ecuador. I was in Ecuador, and the dude made me a peacock. And I saw he had the wood, like the raw wood. And he told me, come back, and he'll have me a peacock ready. This dude made this thing. It took him about 2 hours. And it was only $4.
Oh, wow.
It took him about 2 hours. He carved the peacock out of a raw piece of wood and painted it up. I was like, man, ain't no way I can give you $4. I value what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm not about to go in there and say, well, I'm going to give you $2 for it. And so we got to learn to appreciate. And it carries over. If you're a business owner, you got to learn to respect people's craft. So with that, it carries over because, see, we get mad when somebody do us that. But you'll go to Jamaica, the Bahamas, wherever, Trinidad, and negotiate with them over a $5 trinket. Over a $5 trinket after they didn't put some time in it. Because if you see some of the stuff they make, they put time in it. They put work. But then we get mad when somebody do the same for us. So we got to understand, man, you got to respect people's craft. That's extremely important. I want to talk on something that Rhonda said too about pulling money out of 401k. And, and like you said, it wasn't to make more money. It wasn't to shift. It wasn't to do all those things. Most of the time we'll pull it out. The one thing I want to tell y'all, man, because I see this every year and it's becoming an issue so much to where the IRS is starting to notice. Because even at the last conference I went to, the IRS is now trying to come up with different rules and laws to make it easier for people who pull money out of their 401k prematurely. Because it don't make sense. If I pull the money out, I probably needed it desperately. Then I get a penalty on top of it for pulling out early. So now I'm in a worse position. So they started seeing that. They're seeing more and more people pulling their money out of retirement than they've ever seen. And the problem is that people will never get to a point where they're able to retire because they have no retirement. And that's most people's retirement fund is 401k, the ones who do participate. And so I would tell you, man, first thing is, if you pull money out 401k, please talk to a tax professional first before you do it. Because there's loopholes of why you cannot pay the 10%. One of the things that not the 10% penalty for pulling out early, there's things that you can do to not have to pay that. But talk to the person to see if that works for you. You're talking about a situation now where when I pull it out, have a purpose for it. Mm-hmm. Have a purpose. Because again, I'm going to get taxed on the extra money. I'm going to get penalized in most cases, but have a purpose and don't just go pulling it. But this is the thing that most people don't realize. If you have stocks and you're saying, I'm going to pull money out to do whatever it may be, start a business, down payment for a home, look at stocks first. If you have a stock option, because see, with the 401k, one of the things again is you're going to get penalized, you're going to get taxed in most cases. With the stocks, if I pulled out $50,000 out of 401k, I'm going to get taxed on that whole $50,000 and penalized. If I pulled out $50,000 in stocks, I'm going to get the whole $50,000, but the cost basis might be $30,000. So what happens is the cost basis is what I bought the stocks for. I'm going to pull 50 out. The cost basis of 30 means I'm only getting taxed on 20. So that might be the better loophole for you. And a lot of people don't look at that.
I want to add something to that. For any listeners or people who see this later, who work for major companies in Metro Atlanta or wherever you're streaming in, actually participate in the employer stock purchase plan because 2 reasons. 1, what Brian just said, but 2, because you're an employee, most of the time they're giving it to you at a discount from what we pay on, what they call a street, just open market. So you have to actually participate in it in order to be able to do that strategy.
So get in it, man. Wherever you can lay your money, please, that's going to make you more money. You definitely have some options. And one of the reasons why I would encourage getting into your 401k, and you have financial planners who say, well, no, 401k is this and that. What I do is, again, I meet people where they are. What I do understand is that people know 401k. When we start talking about, oh, you should get a URL, you should get a life insurance, you should, yeah, I'm in favor of all that because I'm more knowledgeable on it. But the average person don't know, so they're not going to participate.
Right.
So my thing is, I'm going to meet people where they are. Most of y'all understand 401ks. And the reason why I say start with a 401k, when people ask me about savings, when people say, well, one of the things, well, Brian, what I need to do for tax breaks. Sometimes when you don't have a house, you don't have a business, you don't have so your strategy might be in your 401k. You can contribute more to your 401k because your 401k reduces the amount of taxes you pay. So say, for instance, I made $100,000 and I put $10,000 into my 401k. That means instead of being taxed on $100,000, I'm going to only be taxed on $90,000. That's one of the beautiful things about the 401k. It reduces my tax liability. Secondly, if somebody's going to match my money, if somebody's going to match your money, why wouldn't you take advantage of somebody's matching your money? So if somebody's going to match $10,000 that I put in with a certain percentage, then that's a no-brainer to me. Yeah. Max it out. Yeah. Max it out, because the more, if I'm able to put 19.5 in, they might only match it to, let's say, 10,000, 12,000. That's okay. But still, I still got 19,000 that's going to reduce my tax liability. And the third part of it is I got money going to retirement. So I got money. So now I'm securing my future as well. So I'm securing my future. Somebody's matching my money and I'm getting a tax break. Yeah. That's the best start, people. It's the best start. All the other things that people are telling you that you don't know about, they got all these retirement things they're telling you should be doing with your money. You're not going to do it because you're scared, because you don't know. So I would say start with the 401k. And then once you start getting comfortable with 401k, you might be interested in learning about the other things. And now have all the different things, because now I can still open up a SEP. So if I start a business, I can open up a SEP and now I can contribute if I had more money to do it. So you'll start learning things. But I would say start with the basics, because even with a non-business person, you don't have many options no more. Right. The government took a lot of things away. You know, it took a lot of things away. And so even with, and I'm going to lead this into, because I told you I would talk about the traveling nurses. And the reason why I talked about this, because even I got a call from a travel nurse and I got a client. I mean, not a client, in one of my groups. We was talking about this. And people, please, 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 when you're a travel nurse, you're probably an independent contractor. And this might apply to a lot of people who are independent contractors. But this person was a W-2. This person was a W-2 employee. And so what happened was, one of the biggest things you can do as a W-2 employee to write off was what they call unreimbursed employee expense. And so as a traveling nurse, if you're W-2, this is one of the things I want to, right now, we're early in the year, see if you can get your employer to change you to 1099. Change to 1099. Reason being, you're spending a lot of money out of pocket as a traveling nurse when you're W-2. Now, they may pay for some of your housing, so they may cover that. But the problem is, you can't write off anything no more. So all the money that you're spending out of pocket, if they don't reimburse you for it, it's not a tax break anymore. You used to can write off your cell phone, your travel, you know, all of those things, your computer, office expense, all those things. As a W-2 employee, you cannot write that off anymore. So travel nurses who are W-2 are losing if you're paying for most of that stuff out of your pocket. This is why I'm getting so many travel nurses who hadn't filed in 2 and 3 years, because they know they're going to owe it. They don't want to, you know, and so all of that matters. So see if you can get that shift over to your 1099 and be a contractor, because now as a contractor, I can write off all of those expenses. I can also now get into self-employed retirement plans, but I need to get in some type of retirement plans as a 1099, because what we're doing is more companies are 1099ing people. More people are getting 1099. So you know what that means? You're responsible for your own retirement. You're responsible for your own health care. You got to get with people like Rhonda to start getting you retirement plans in place. Because if you're just making money, a lot of them making money, especially the nurses, you're making money, good money doing a travel nurse. But if we ain't keeping it and it ain't growing and it ain't working for you, it's going to soon be gone. It's going to diminish. So we got to understand how important this is, man. We got to understand these tax laws. If I'm 1099 and understanding that nobody's paying for these things, that I can't write off if I'm W-2, because even people with jobs that had regular jobs, this is why the acting and the entertainment industry hated when the law changed, because in the acting and entertainment industry who were W-2, they used to can write off all the trips down to the set, the wardrobe, the travel to the thing. They can't do none of that no more. And they were losing out big time. You know, so if you can go 1099 and then understanding how to set up the LLC with that, and then with the LLC, we'll talk about how to take those deductions, how to benefit from a tax point. You know, so it's so many things, man, that we really got to understand. And then I want to mention about the individuals who say, you always talk about business people, you know, you don't ever talk about people who don't have a business, who are straight W-2 or got a home or any of those things. So the thing is that with that, you are limited again now because of the new tax law change. And when I say limited, it's not a whole lot you can do if you're a homeowner no more, because only 10 to 12 people, 10% to maybe 15% of people now claim their home as a tax deduction. And part of it is because when they changed the new standard, the standard deduction rules, most people didn't have enough deductions or qualifications to meet that level. And I talked about the rules last week, but I'll give you a short example. Right now, the rule for somebody that's head of household means I'm unmarried with a dependent. That deduction is about $18,700. That means that the interest on my home, the taxes, charitable donations, state taxes, all of those things, tithes, all that have to come above $18,000. If it don't, then I might as well take what the government gives me. What that means is I got a whole house that I can't even use for a tax break. And a lot of times you're not coming above $18,000 because the interest on your home, unless you just bought your home and it's really expensive. But if you had it, you're probably paying about $8,000 in interest. Your property tax about $3,000, that's $11,000. You know, your state taxes was $4,000, that's $15,000. And then if you gave it a good number of tithes or whatever, you might exceed it. But if you're married joint, it's $27,700 that you got to come up with. So again, less people are claiming. So this is the only option if your house don't work for you. Your only option from a personal standpoint is if you give to charity, if you tithe often, do it from the business if you have a business. Because again, otherwise it's going to go to waste. It's going to go to waste because if you don't itemize, you can say I gave $3,000 in tithes, I gave $500 to charity. If it don't add into it and come above the 18,000 or the 27,700 or the 13,800 if you are single, then you don't get no credit for it at all. But if I do it from the business, it's a dollar for dollar deduction as a business write-off, as opposed to a personal, because a personal is based on percentages. It has to be a certain amount in order for me to take it. A business is, I can take, if I spend $200, I can write off $200. That's very important, people. This is creating leverage with your taxes because the number one goal, again, is to keep more of our money. If you don't understand that, if you don't learn these tricks, this is the difference between a tax professional and a tax preparer. And a lot of y'all still have tax preparers, which a tax preparer is just taking your information, putting it in the system, and letting you know what the computer told them. They ain't giving you no insight, no strategies, what you should be doing, what you could be doing, and what you need to do. But we all basically say we're adulting now. Adulting comes with switching. Adulting comes with hurting people's feelings that have been doing your taxes for years. It comes with telling your mother-in-law, I didn't like you anyway, so I'm taking my taxes somewhere else. You know. No, I'm not talking from personal experience. I know Slim about to say something. No. No, but again, all of that, you know, your sister-in-law, your cousin, a lot of times people gonna basically get mad. But if they can't take you to the levels you're trying to get to, think about that, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I know we gonna basically, you know, get mad at folks. Folks gonna get mad at us for that because we not. That's my A1 from day one. But they can't tell you nothing about how to leverage your business. They can't tell you about any deductions you need. Then it's time to move on. When we start growing in life, we have to grow in our circles. And it's okay. It's okay. That's life. Everybody's not meant to go everywhere. And sometimes they just don't do your taxes. We can still hang out. We can still kick it. We can still do it. But you just can't do my taxes. Because you don't understand LLCs. You don't understand S-Corp elections. You don't understand with deductions. You don't understand buybacks. You don't understand those things when I'm trying to buy a rental property now. I'm trying to get a loan or a line of credit for my business. You can't position me right. So again, it's okay. And if they have a problem with it, they ain't real love because they should be able to say, well, you know what? I'm not even sure about that. You need to go somewhere where, you know, they can tell you a little bit more because I'm not familiar with stocks and how to do stocks and how to leverage stock or all the rules behind your 401k. You know, you pulled it out, but it's certain criteria. And we'll get into the criteria of what you can do. But please, people, please, please, please share this information with somebody. Please, please, please follow these tips. Please don't forget this Saturday, February the 10th, you got the Atlanta Black Expo. Please register. I offered y'all a free admission. Y'all ain't want to take me up on it, so the hell with y'all. But now, hit me up, man, and we'll see though. But definitely, because I want people to be exposed to that. Also, oh, that's the same thing. Then on the 17th, we got the adult game night. Is not adult game night in the sense, and all this is on the website. All this is on the website where rbsolutioncenter.com. Go to the website. You can see all of this stuff, the game night, the other stuff I'm about to talk about. But really, it birthed from a Valentine's Day. We wanted to do something for singles. We wanted to bring people together and find love. I need love. You know, so we wanted to bring people together for that. And so what we did was we brought the relationship coach in, Elam B. King. So it's going to be kind of connecting, but it's also going to be game. He has a game called Are You Ready Yet? And I said from the last time, a lot of y'all not ready based on the questions from his cards. But it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be fun. And a lot of y'all going to find out some things about yourself. And so that's on the 17th at the RB Solution Center from 7 p.m. We're going to have adult beverages and food. Just be able to handle it. On the 18th, we have our monthly event where When Black Authors Connect. If you're a Black author or if you know of an author, you need to be there. And then after that event, we're going to have B1 the movie screening. So we got my man Rick Mathis. He got his new movie out. It's very powerful. It's informative, inspirational, and it's about money. It's about finance. It's about budgeting. It's about growing. And so we're going to do the movie after that. So that's on the 18th, man. We got two great events. And then on the 21st, you have Wealth Wednesdays with my man Kareem Ali. And he got an event where he's going to show you how to build some wealth through some platforms and some products that he have. So it's not financial based as much as it's a service based thing that can help you make money. But go to the website, rbsolutioncenter.com, and you can find all of this information. Anything that you need, man, we got it. This is why it's called a Solution Center. This is why we bring people like Rhonda on, you know, and not just because she sounds good in what she's doing. It's because I've been working with Rhonda over 10 years. My daughter worked with Rhonda, you know, and I trust in her. I believe in her, you know. So if my word is good, you know, then ain't no sense of vetting and questioning. You got to do all these things based on y'all ain't actually what's in McDonald's meat. But then you got to vet, and see I got to see what she did, who she worked with, how many years, but you ain't checked not one time about that damn patty. You ain't checked none of that stuff. Even Chick-fil-A chicken. They got the good bad chicken at Chick-fil-A. But you ain't checked none of the ingredients. You ain't do no research on that. Y'all got to research when it comes to money. But again, Rhonda, give them your information again before we get out of here.
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity, Brian. He is, when you have a business, all these folks that he just told you about, that he was showing, I always admire that Brian connects us. He supports in the community. He always has great community events. So make sure that you sign up and come on out and support those. So for me, again, you can go to CuriousCalvinBooks.com. On IG, it's Curious Calvin Books, and also just Rhonda J, Jay. So thank you for the opportunity.
All right, y'all. And don't forget, man, I got something coming up for the real estate agents. I got a seminar coming up for real estate agents. So make sure that you have the real estate agents follow me, stay connected. That's coming, I think, maybe March 10th. But I'll keep y'all posted on that date. I think we're finalizing everything today. And then also, I'm still, I wasn't going to do it. I was going to quit. But the $50 business evaluation, if you basically want to have your business evaluated on what is it that you're missing. And I'm even open it to individuals with finance stuff. Go to RichBoi Foundation. RichBoiInvestments.com. RichBoiInvestments.com, and there's a link up there that says make a payment. $50. We're going to do a business evaluation. Find out what's going on with your business, where you're trying to get to. What's your strengths and weaknesses, how you need to get there. We're going to have a consultation, and you're going to have some homework. But, man, take advantage of this. Take advantage of this, because we got too many people in our network that can help catapult you to the next level. And there's no reason why we should be losing long term. So, again, I'm going to be on y'all about having the 700 credit score. Let's go for this credit score by the end of the year. But let's start working it now, people, because it don't happen overnight. So we want to have at least a 700 credit score by the end of the year. And by the middle of the year, we want to have $1,000 in savings. So hit me up if y'all have any questions, DM me, make sure that y'all got Rhonda's information. We're going to put it out there again. But take advantage of these situations, man, because people paying a lot of money for this stuff, and we're giving it to you on social media for free. So y'all have a great night. I'll see y'all Saturday at the expo. If I haven't met you personally, come over to my table. I have a table at the expo in the first section. And then come to the events at the RB Solution Center. That's all I have for y'all. Y'all have anything, my audience? Well, I will clap sound machine. Oh, I got it right
We
here.
gotta make sure we done.
Oh, gunshot.
Pow.
Yeah, gunshots, baby, because we fire over here.
Yeah.
We fire over here. Since Sean said Frank said we don't never clap. So, you hear that audience, boy. Stop hating, bro. Yeah, we got the sound effects. We got to still play with them.
Look.
That's how we know. All right. No, Steve, we legit, boy. We legit. Wait till we upgrade this production, though. All right, y'all. So y'all have a great night, man. Enjoy y'all evening. Be safe. Stay warm. Peace.
Been saying come down and check it out, and I'm not even that far. Well, today it seemed like forever with that Atlanta traffic,
Yeah.
but I'm not that far.
Man, we got a helicopter, man. We could have flew here if we knew the traffic was going to be like that.
What I was just looking at, and I went the back way. How about that? It's a long time coming. And thank you guys as well. And I apologize in advance if I say anything that upset there's a little hand that kind of goes in between them. But compromising is a maturity level, right? That's because you recognize that, okay, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about the team, right? And the team moving forward. That's what I always talk about. You'll see a question there, I talk about conflict resolution. And step one it's a 7-step process, but step 1 is recognize that we're on the same team, right? So sometimes there's a give. There's grace that I have to give, right? You had a bad day, right? So I want to have this conversation, but I'm gonna compromise with you right now. You can't talk. Let's come back tomorrow at 6 o'clock.